Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested. Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 72-year-old Pennsylvania resident and Army veteran Howard Richardson was seen on Capitol grounds waving a Trump flag around. He was also seen on video using his flagpole to strike an officer, they say at least 3 times. And as he landed the blows, Richardson was heard on video yelling, quote, "Here it comes." In fact, he only stopped hitting the officer because his flagpole broke. That's how hard he hit him. Richardson was also later seen on video helping the mob to ram this wide metal framed Trump sign into a group of officers. They say this thing was like 8 feet tall and like 10 feet wide. And check this out. Richardson's son has been a police officer for 20 years. So Richardson was arrested on October 25th of last year, but he was not arrested for what he did at the Capitol. This lunatic allegedly tackled a motorcyclist outside of his home the previous month. The motorcyclist was very seriously injured, and this whole thing was captured on his neighbor's security camera. And when the motorcyclist's brother came to help, Richardson pulled out his gun. And then he went to his vehicle and he pulled out a 7-inch knife. So Richardson has charges pending for aggravated assault and for other crimes related to that incident. And when agents came to arrest him for those crimes, he admitted to being at the Capitol on January 6th. And he said it was because he was, quote, pissed off. So Richardson then told the authorities that he saw others knocking over barricades and trying to ram officers with a large object. And although he admitted to hitting an officer, he claimed that the officer swung a piece of metal at him first. And he said that he was provoked by the crowd because, according to him, there were, quote, agitators in the crowd. First of all, there's zero evidence that the officer swung anything at him. Second, I have never seen so many grown-ass men and women admit that they acted like impressionable teenagers on January 6th, or sheep. That they just followed the herd. I just got swept up. Everybody else influenced me. Anyway, when the investigators showed Richardson the video of himself assaulting the officer, his response was, quote, "I'm not saying this is the best behavior I could have done here." And then he tried to justify his actions again. He said, quote, "I don't look at the person as a police officer when he's trying to strike me." And Richardson also claimed that he only reached up to touch the large metal Trump sign that I mentioned because he was pushing it away to try to keep it from crushing him. And you guys are all going to be shocked to hear this, but Richardson has a history of violent altercations and flouting the law. This is in addition to the motorcycle incident. Apparently, in 2018, police were called to a gas station because Richardson got in a fight with 2 people, and he first flashed his gun at them, and then he drew his gun. Richardson wasn't arrested in that incident, but his concealed carry permit was revoked. However, in October of 2020, Richardson was stopped and he was questioned because he was driving with a suspended registration. During that stop, the police officers determined that Richardson was also driving with a suspended license and he was carrying a concealed loaded gun. And then he admitted to the officer that he always carries a weapon. So that case is also still pending. And then Richardson was arrested again on November 30th of 2021 for January 6th. He was charged with assaulting officers using a dangerous weapon or inflicting bodily injury, civil disorder, entering restricted grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, 3 counts of physical violence, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol. In April of this year, Richardson pleaded guilty to 1 count of assaulting officers while committing another felony. So he was looking at up to 8 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. However, the prosecutor requested a sentence of 46 months in prison, which is the upper end of the federal sentencing guidelines. They also asked for 3 years of probation, $2,000 in restitution, and a $100 special assessment. In the sentencing memorandum, the prosecutor cited Richardson's, quote, troubling behavior and a refusal to admit any wrongdoing. But Richardson's attorney argued in favor of leniency because of his age, his military service, and the fact that he's self-employed. They wanted 18 months or less. And check this out. I literally laughed out loud when I read this. His attorney had the audacity to write, quote, Richardson does not run a risk of additional criminal behavior given his past history. I mean, does he know his client? So at the sentencing hearing, Richardson told the judge that he's been a good citizen and neighbor. Really? And he said, quote, I have learned my lesson, Your Honor. I was going down as a patriotic citizen to celebrate. I just want to go back to my life. Yeah, Judge. He just wants to go back to threatening people with guns at the gas station, knocking people off of motorcycles, you know, his life. Help a guy out. So U.S. District Judge Colleen Kolar-Cotelli presided over this case, and she was not buying Richardson's bullshit. She said that this was a serious offense and, quote, the intent has to be to injure the officer. There's no other reason to do it. Judge Cotelli also noted, quote, it was an insurrection. It was not a protest and certainly not a peaceful one. She also called out Richardson for downplaying his actions, misleading the FBI, and trying to excuse his behavior. And in the end, she sided with the prosecutor and she sentenced Richardson to 46 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and a $2,000 restitution fee. This guy clearly has some issues, and I'm so glad he's going to be off the streets for a while. And at his age, this very well could be a life sentence. So again, was it worth it? When and if I hear more, I'll let you know. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.